tell me in my ear if we end up with anybody any questions like you did last week. Just tell me in my ear and put it in the chat, okay?
All right, you're going.
Hello again. This is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner. We are streaming live. We stream live at 1 o'clock Pacific time on Wednesdays, and you can hear us on the audio version anywhere you can get your podcast, as well as watch the replay of this beginning on a Thursday. This week's panel, Yani Ababa, who is one of our commentators here on Copeland's Corner, and you see her shorts all over. That sounds weird to say you see her shorts. I didn't mean to put it that way. You see her short videos.
I'm fine with everybody seeing my shorts, Brian. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm a progressive woman.
she's a comic. She's a writer. She's a commentator, and a regular part of our network. So thank you for being here. Tom Sawyer, of course, executive producer of our network, as well as a comedy legend, founded the legendary Cobb's Comedy Club in San Francisco. Jim Ballily is here, very funny comic, as well as a comedy writer on some shows that are considered classic, including the Golden Girls. Have you seen that drag Golden Girls show that they do
I
from time to
have.
time in the city? What do you think of it? I think it's great. What do you
I
think
think
of
it's great for the show. I think it's great that, Disney, you remember like, 30 years ago, if a nursery school did like Mickey Mouse on their board, Disney would come by and like sue them. And then, I think it's great that the Golden Girls is still out there. I think it's great that people are reinventing it and reinterpreting it and using those characters, to make a little extra bread. I know a couple of guys who do that show because can we say drag? It's a drag
Well,
show.
and it's ridiculous that
Yeah.
yeah, it's
But
ridiculous that's even an issue.
Drew Doji does it, guy named Sam Pancake. It's really funny. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think it's great.
Well, there's a club here in San Francisco on the Mission, and I cannot think of the name of it. I've been two or three times, and they will have runs of old TV shows where they've got the scripts and they do them all in drag.
Yeah.
They did the original Star Trek. They did Golden Girls. I saw that, and I also saw they did a Sex in the City. That was just hysterical, and it's just they have the script, so
Yeah.
it's just word
Yeah,
for word.
I actually think that, with AI kind of taking over, there's going to just be more of an appetite for in real life uh, performances and things like that.
Oh, I
And
hope not. I hope not. And every time I see something amazing AI, it just makes me go, oh
no,
shit, they're saying this
I'm
is
saying
job.
I'm saying when AI is,
Right,
there's
right.
going to be a mountain of content.
No, I understand.
You
I
know,
got what you
so
were saying.
I'm saying live performances are going to be, are going to go on an upswing. People are going to want that. Comics. I
Oh,
think
I
it's
see what you're saying. As opposed to the
The
AI,
human
they're going to want to
yeah,
see people.
reality.
I'm not singing the praises of AI. I'm just acknowledging
Mhm.
that it's not going away.
It's not now. Unfortunately, it's not going away. All right. Well, lots and lots to talk about. I like to talk about where everybody is. So folks who are watching know the word. We're all over we have contributors from all over the country. I am based here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm here in my fortress of solitude, as I call it. Yaini, you are in
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee, and Jim, you're down in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Okay, and Tom, you are in the wine country up here in Northern
Yeah, I
California.
moved. I moved. I'm near Sebastopol, California, right between Sebastopol and Santa Rosa.
Hey,
So,
don't
Nice.
tell people exactly where you are because of the things that we're going to say over the next hour. Have you thought about this at all?
it's cow country out here. I live near more cows than I do people.
Well, and I should let you know because you probably can't tell. Yeah, you're having a little video problem. We can hear you fine, but you're
My
kind of
my 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 wife does a podcast called 50 Words for Snow, where they try to like, have different words from foreign languages. There's no like real English equivalent, but they make up words, and one word is bovinity, which is how close you are to the nearest cow. So what's your bovinity? And you go, you have a bovinity of about probably a quarter of a mile, right?
or
Right, Tom?
less.
Ooh, I think Tom froze up.
Tom froze up on us. Tom,
Should
let
we,
me.
should we call 911?
While he is unfreezing him, while he's unfreezing himself, I was watching the Midas Touch Network yesterday and was watching their uh, about every other day they do a full length video with all three of the brothers, and they were talking about how Trump and his minions are saying that any journalist who provides what they're calling fake news about the war, meaning any journalist who says anything about the war that they don't like is guilty of treason, and they're talking about incarcerating people. The Miceless brothers was saying that they, I mean, for the first time, I heard that they some concern, because I've been wondering for a while the stuff they say, because they report stuff before the networks and before the corporate media report stuff, and I wondered, what's going on? Are they getting audited? What's the? And they've got 7 million followers, so 7 million viewers, and so they're on Trump's radar. What's going to happen? Well, they were saying yesterday, they were talking like we don't know what's going to happen to us, like, but hopefully if something happens to us, our work continues on, and this has got a chilling effect on not just corporate media, but also on people in the independent media and people do podcasts like us, if they are in any way critical of the president or any of his actions. I mean, you got CBS that's in their pocket now. You have got CNN, which with the Warner Brothers merger is about to be in their pocket. In fact, Hegseth said to a CNN reporter, they don't even try to hide it now. A CNN reporter asked him a question that he didn't like. And he said, well, when your new boss, and I'm paraphrasing, but the gist of it was, when your new bosses take over, they'll set you straight.
Yeah.
So that gives them Fox News, CNN, and CBS, and the others, ABC and NBC, and those that they don't control. They cut the financial nuts off the PBS. So at least what those that are left are treading lightly. If you watch, there are things that under normal circumstances they would be. Under normal circumstances, they would be reporting and reporting more. Um, they'd be headlining things that they're now, towards the middle or the end of the broadcast.
Well, also
So,
don't forget, yeah, Hegseth kicked the press out of the Pentagon.
Yeah,
They
unless they adhered to his new guidelines or
Yeah,
something.
it
oh,
started.
that's right.
It
Okay.
started there. So it's in plain view that he wants to control the narrative on this, and the narrative is we're winning, and that is the narrative that his base is getting because they
Mhm.
only, in my opinion, they're just getting we're winning. This is the best war ever, but
It's not just your opinion; that's fact. What you just said
yeah.
is fact.
But the only thing that is kind of stopping, you know, it is just the press, people finding out, I mean, if they were in charge of it, the Iranian schoolgirl bombing, one, the most horrific
War crime. Let's call it what
war
it is.
crime
War crime.
ever would have been buried. And they would have gone with Trump's, it was one of, they would have
That
just
they
censored that
stole a
whole thing.
Tomahawk missile from us so they could bomb themselves with it.
Yeah. No,
His
that makes
lies are getting
sense,
worse.
Brian. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's completely
So
logical.
I mean, it would be strange if they weren't
Don't believe
trying
your lying eyes.
to scream fake news at its loudest. You know what I mean? So,
Well,
but the truth is, if you're gonna have CBS saying,
when you have the anchor,
they're just going to be driving people who
we
actually want real news away. It's like
elsewhere.
you're
Well.
driving their core audience away.
Here's the
CBS.
thing. If you watch CBS and this new anchor that they've got, who I have not seen, and he's doing shit like, and he actually did this, salutes. He
Yeah,
salutes Marco
Marco
Rubio
Rubio.
on the air, and I saw numbers
Actually,
today.
shouldn't it be more like this? Short joke.
I was looking at ratings today, and he's lost since what was it, Nora O'Donnell, who was the anchor
Right,
when they took over.
right,
She had something like 5 million viewers, and they were in third place. First place is
right.
ABC; it's got like 10 million. In second place is NBC; I think it was just 7 million or something. And she had five or 5 or 6. He's now down to under 4.
Yeah, but remember, at the age group that his show is appealing at, you're gonna, 10 or 15% are gonna die off every year.
Well, but they
Come
also
on,
look at
guys, that's
20.
funny.
They also look at 2554 too, and those numbers, under that 5 million, it's like 500,000 or
I
2554.
know.
But they're still, the stats I gave you, the ratings I gave you are still the same for the other two networks. But it's I guess what I'm leading up to here is with this now in the air. So it's already chilling what it is that people say over broadcast, and I'm assuming over some streaming about this war. If they're coming after people, I'm just curious because this is the first podcast that we've
I think
done
it's, I think
since
it's,
this. Are you concerned about
no,
it? Are you going to say what you mean? What you gonna say what you feel?
yeah.
You gonna hold back?
I think it just, well, for me, I think it makes people want to, speak out more. Like nobody likes being told what to do. And, you have no choice. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people say, oh, I don't have an opinion. I don't like talking about, politics and whatnot. And that's fine. We are still allowed in America to have opinions. You know, we're allowed to
Well,
have opinions.
really hard. They're trying really hard to take that away. For example, the Speaker of the House wants to push forward this Chat GPT AI bill where the AI Chat GPT is monitoring people's social media activity and their speech and everything to that goes along with censoring the media and threaten treason is to threaten to unalive somebody, like
Yeah.
it's punishable
I
by,
hate this unalive to kill somebody, to
well,
execute. You can be executed for treason
it's
in
the
this country.
algorithm, homie,
This unalive, what is this
I
unalive shit?
too,
It's to kill
yeah,
somebody, to
to
put
take
someone
someone.
to
The
death.
uncola.
And so it's meant on many ways.
Yeah, not cola. That's what I always said. Not
You go
Sprite.
online and you see people saying ICE is monitoring and watching people's social media. They're paying people to monitor and track you on social media. Palantir knows where you are at all times. They've got software that can find you at any time. And at first I was like, oh shit. And then my brother actually yelled at me because every morning I get my cup of coffee and I call my senators and my congressperson. I tell them what a terrible job they're doing and how they need to impeach Trump and how all of this is ridiculous because I feel it's my responsibility. And I sat down with it and I was like, well, what do I do? Like, do I stop doing this because my brother's scared because they're telling me to be scared? Or do I keep going? And for me, it's I keep going. But a lot of people aren't going to go. Like, this is working. People are scared. We thought it would be Independence Day and everyone would fight back, right?
Right.
People are scared. They're not fighting back. The people don't realize the power is within them. So they're giving this small group of people a lot of power because they're afraid. And that's how it
Well, it's a
starts.
small group of people who are in control of the army and of nukes.
Only because we allow them to be.
Because we
fighting
allow
her.
them.
We
Did you ever? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We did this. People don't vet their candidates. They're like, oh, it's got a D, it's got an R. Okay, check. And then they're like, what's with this guy? He's nuts. You voted for him. Well, yeah, I'm a Republican. I have to vote for him. Actually, you don't.
Hey, John Fetterman.
Yeah, that's a big disappointment. What a big disappointment that was. I mean, did he sell his constituents a bill of goods? I mean, this is not the guy who campaigned.
Who, Fetterman?
Not the one I'm saying, or is he? And I just missed it because I was blinded by the D next to his name.
Fetterman?
I mean, I didn't vote for him. I don't. Yeah, I don't live in his state.
Stroke.
Yeah,
Everything changed after his stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. He became a different person. He's also a Zionist. So that has a lot, and he takes money from AIPAC. So that has a lot to do with how he navigates his legislation and what he supports and doesn't support.
Well, my prediction with him is that either he switches parties or he becomes one of those. Becomes an independent like Angus King who caucuses with the Democrats, but it's more. I don't see him running as a Democrat if he runs for re-election.
I don't think he's fit for office. He's had some episodes outside of the Senate, not just the way he votes or communicates with the media, but he had an episode with a gun where he went on a drive and was going to go do something, and it was all over the media, and it's the result of the stroke. He's not capable of doing his job. Unfortunately, that's sad. I'm sorry he had a stroke, but we're in a time where it's more important than being nice to somebody. You
Did
know what
you
I
Yeah,
see
mean?
his staff aren't happy campers. They're all kind of really fed up, but they're sympathetic to what he's gone through. But at the same time, I mean, I've watched him in interviews, and he doesn't make any sense. I mean, he literally contradicts himself. He's like Trump. He contradicts himself one sentence to the next.
Hmm.
So
How much times he got left? How many years has he got left on his? I was going to say a sentence on his term. Same difference. Same difference.
three,
Does he get time off for good behavior? He just got elected, didn't he? Right before the stroke.
He was 2020, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
yeah.
And he had the
So,
stroke
I think
oh,
he's
no,
long.
no,
got
that
3 years.
would put him up this
Right.
year. So he must have been 2022.
Yeah,
So he was 2022.
yeah. I think he's got
He got,
4 years
yeah,
left.
so he's got 3 years left.
All right. Well,
Uh,
let's get into some of this again. You know, as with Trump, is so much to go through. We can't possibly go through everything. But just is it the way this works if are watching us? And by the way, please be sure to like and to subscribe. If you are watching the live stream and you want to participate, please do. You know, send us a comment. And we got Charlene is monitoring the comments. And you have a question or something you want us to talk about, mention it, and she will whisper in my ear, and I will bring it up. Okay. What I do is I come up with a question for each one of the panelists. They will answer it by themselves, and then everybody else will jump in with their opinion. So, Jim, here's is yours. Okay. We've got Trump begging other nations to help us in the war, and they're basically telling them they're screwed off. I mean, you know, here's a guy who all through 2 terms now has done nothing but badmouth other countries. We are alone in this illegal war of choice. He's lying every time he opens his mouth about everything. I mean, even though we've proven that it was us that dropped the tomahawk on the school, he's still saying it's under investigation. He couldn't care less about soldiers who are dead. You know, if you noticed, every time in a press conference he's asked about soldiers, he will badmouth the reporter for asking the question or completely ignore it. He is fundraising off of photos of him wearing a campaign hat at the dignified transfer of bodies. He's fundraising off of that. So the question is this: since it's America and Israel, period. Everybody else is either passively against us or in the case of Russia and China are actively working against us. Do you think that there is a path out of this war as long as he is in office? Because Iran says that they have no interest in a ceasefire until certain things happen. That there's no way that he's going to allow to happen, such as reparations for the damage done and all these other things. Is there a path out of this as long as he's in?
Yes, always. There's always a
Well,
path
okay.
out.
What is it when Iran's saying that they are not even
Something, yeah,
remotely
well, that's what
interested?
they're saying now. And I'm not saying it's the path is right around the corner.
Mhm.
But of course, there, so much of this is so confusing to the world and to
Yeah.
everybody, and I'm not in this guy's mind. I don't. We're all
Neither
guessing.
is he.
Yeah. Uh, um, but I mean, I think that you know, you can look at the big picture, like, oh, who's benefiting from this? Russia is really doing very well with this. Because now people are buying their oils. We've taken the sanction off of their oils, and all of a sudden, like, it's $110 a barrel now, So, Russia's a big, so I don't know, was Putin saying you should go into Iran? He's not the most, I think he made a gut call, and trouble was like Venezuela was a gut call, and it seemed to be like, okay, the optics were we went in, we got rid of a bad guy. Yay, we're the good guys again. He's trying to do something with Cuba right now because Cuba is in big trouble. Those people are Venezuela was what was propping them up,
Hmm.
and their economy, they're starving to death there, in Cuba, because of our policies,
Hmm.
you know, and, so the path out is, to give Trump something that he can say to the American people that looks like a win. You know, of course, you need Iran to, to say that. I mean, whoever thought it was a good idea, to like, take out the Ayatollah and, and knowing his son was next in line, like, yeah, they're going to be mad if you killed your father. Of course, the other part of that is like maybe Don Jr. gave him the advice, hey, take out the dad, the kid will be grateful forever.
Well, he was all of his advisors who have any knowledge of how that region of the world works. Who didn't get fired when he became president, advised him against it and told him exactly what was going to happen, and told him that Iran would attack its
Yeah.
neighbors, and he
Yeah,
just
I think he
ignored them.
doesn't, I've said this before on the show. Trump is a Trumper. You know, he believes, you get to the point where you believe it, when with great power comes great ego. And after a while, I see it in Hollywood all the time. I see it in my industry, people who are like one way and then they become extremely successful to the point where like they're recognized, and all day long people are just blowing smoke. You're the best, you're the best, you're the best. At one point, you believe that, and I think he believes that his opinion. It's like he's one of those guys. Like I want to be the guy who like solve the Middle East. I think his intentions are so we can
He
put up.
wants a legacy. That's what it. I mean,
He
there's
wants a
there's so
legacy.
much ridiculous shit on the House of the
But
Floor.
every
They want to
president
put him on.
wants.
They want to
Yeah.
put him on Mount Rushmore. There's like a proposal to put him on Mount Rushmore and all of this kind of stuff. You said something here that's good. We're gonna come back to, because it doesn't relate to this, but it kind of does. I'm just making a note. So just remind me if I forget. I want to come back to this afterwards. Yaini and Tom, would you like to add to what it is that Jim said?
Well, I mean, he did this for Israel, right? So this is what Israel's wanted for 40 years.
Yeah.
They have wanted to attack Iran, and they don't have all the resources to do it. But they do have a president and a Congress that's been funded by AIPAC, right? So no one's going to contest it because they want their campaign dollars. I don't know what they have on Mango Mussolini. I don't know if Epstein gave copies to the Israeli government or not. There are theories out there that he did, that they're bribing, that they're forcing him into this. They're blackmailing him. Putin loves this, as we said, because he's making all this money. This is benefiting Saudi Arabia and Israel. This war, who are his kids are making billions because they're
Jared Kushner. And
Yeah.
Jared
Jared
Kushner, as well as the Trump boys.
Yeah, the Trump boys
who are in the drone business now.
Exactly. And Jared is actually getting more money from Saudi Arabia. So basically, our military is for sale. They're mercenaries for Israel and Saudi Arabia right now. And our sons and daughters are going to go over there and lose their lives for a narcissist who's never served, who cosplays at being a world leader. This is all, I feel like they all think they're in a movie, the way they act.
And who doesn't even care. That's the thing that makes me the most sick, is to see how he is responding when he is asked about soldiers who have been killed. I have not heard him once say what a normal president would say about the
Does he have
loss
empathy
of
for anything, though, Brian? I mean, really, Trump does not have that bone in his body. I mean, it always comes back to him. It's always about him. Everything is about, it was so weird when I don't know if you saw the press conference with the Irish Prime Minister yesterday, but he constantly was talking about himself, when he was talking about why the other countries won't come in. Not that we need them, we don't need them. It'd be nice if they did, but of course they did. They never come and help us. We always help them. Yeah, when was the last time Britain attacked someplace or got attacked and we didn't join in? That's never. Since NATO started.
The Falklands. I don't think we were involved, were we? I don't remember.
Well, they
Yep.
have to invoke it, right, through NATO. They'd have to invoke the article and then and do it that way, which is what we
Yeah.
did when we went into Afghanistan after September 11th. And those countries came to help us. So I guess
Mhm.
he's not aware of that because reading is hard for him and retaining information is hard for him. But I mean, he said Britain is our oldest ally. I think France has something to say about that,
Well,
but
if it
Yeah.
weren't for Britain, there'd be no United States. So
yeah.
he does have a bit of a point. Um,
Yeah.
let me move to your question, Yaini. And I saved the hardest one for you
Thank you.
because you were the smartest of the four of us.
No, it's
Um, all right, so this is a little bit longer than set up than what it is that I sent you, but I just want to get this. All right, bottom line is here: we all know what Trump wants, and that is he wants to rule. He wants an authoritarian government. He wants the imposition of a dictatorial regime in this country. Senate and the House are not going to stop him as long as they are under Republican control. They'll let him do whatever it is he wants. The Supreme Court is not going to stop him, although they have shown a little bit of backbone in a couple of rulings recently. So now he's slamming them. His administration, unlike the first time, there are no guardrails. It's only sycophants and yes people. He has got Fox. He's got CBS. He will soon have CNN once the Warner Brothers merger goes through. So basically, you will have a second Fox News on cable is what's going to happen when CNN's taken over, and CBS is Fox News broadcast. Um, uh, so the question is this: how far? Because it really comes down to us at the end of the day, because we can't count on any of the institutions that we've grown up to count on to make sure that there were checks and balances. How far do you think the American people are going to let this go before we stop this? Before somebody does something to stop him from destroying our democracy, and he's halfway there. We got to be honest.
No,
He's actually more than halfway there.
I don't know because I thought the American people were stronger than we are right now. And a No King's March isn't enough. There needs to be daily action by all Americans. The strength I've seen is in Minneapolis and Vermont and Maine and LA, who have stood up against ICE and said absolutely not. But it's not enough, right? I mean, ICE is all over Nashville. ICE is all over
Oh, are
Memphis.
they?
Yeah, they're all
Are,
over
are there
Nashville.
are there a lot of undocumented immigrants in Nashville?
I don't know if there are a lot of undocumented immigrants, but Nashville is a very diverse place. It has a huge Laotian community, a huge Thai, Vietnamese, Somali.
Really?
I didn't know there were a lot of Ethiopians until I moved here. There's a lot of Ethiopians. There's a lot of El Salvadorans, a lot of Venezuelans. It's Palestinians, Turks, Iraqis, Kurdish. A lot of Afghanis are coming in since Joe Biden had us pull out of Afghanistan because it's a volunteer state. It's called the volunteer state, and all the missionaries go to these other places and bring in the refugees. And it's part of their missionary work. And there's a huge Egyptian community here, Egyptian Christians, and they all work in hospitality. They're buying their house. They're living the American dream. They're buying their houses. They've got great jobs. They're able to live well and contribute to our community here. I don't think ICE understands any of that
No.
because
Or cares?
yeah. But then on the flip side here, in addition to us having a very diverse community, we have the Proud Boys and Patriot Front show up at anything that is left leaning with weapons to try to intimidate. So we've got that here, which is a very different thing for me being born and raised in San Francisco, where we shut it down all the time. I mean, I did a hunger strike with my friends to get rid of the chief of police in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Here, there's the spirit of SNCC and the 1960s civil rights movement is kind of still here. And the people who organize the Tennessee, the Equity Alliance and people like that, they're doing great work, but ICE is all over Nashville. They just arrested a Noticias reporter saying that she was here illegally, and
Yeah.
she's not. She missed one of her appointments because we had a severe ice storm and it got canceled. And then they messed
Ironically.
up her rescheduling.
Tell me they didn't
So,
arrest her on the air. Tell me they didn't do it on the air.
no, she was on her way to work out with her husband and they surrounded the car and arrested her. Her husband's a citizen. But I mean, they've been working with the state troopers here to profile people because you can't go into somebody's house because we got the castle doctrine and everybody got a gun here, so I mean, my dog could get a gun. It's so easy to get a gun here. But
How long would it take you to get a gun? If I challenged you right now at 1:35 Pacific to go get a gun, when could you have a handgun by?
I don't know because I've never bothered to find out.
We had to do that experiment to find out how hard it is. California, we got a 10-day waiting period. But I'm curious how long it would take you to get a legal gun in
Let's
that
see.
state. We had to do that. Well, let's do that as a challenge.
But I don't want a gun.
Well, I don't say you have to keep it. I just
Oh,
want to see how long it takes for you to
You
get it.
donate it to some charity organization.
Yeah.
The charity organization
Save
that's
the
had enough.
Children's
I've
Fund.
had enough. What are we gonna do? Here's a gun. Here you
Give it-
go. I'd
Give
like
it
you
to,
copy.
to
Here's a
now.
gun. You know what to do.
Is now still around? I never hear anything about now anymore. Are they still
What
around?
is now? What is
National
that?
Organization for Women? Really?
Oh my God, I'm the
Oh,
worst.
yeah.
at that. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about them. I'm sure
So
they
they
are.
Now
must-
is like
well,
now is like Wham with the exclamation point. Because it was now exclamation
Yeah.
point.
That's right.
I forgot about them. I don't know. Women's March does a lot of organizing here. Power Together Tennessee does a lot of work. And Indivisible is probably the strongest
Yeah.
left-leaning organization nationwide, but especially in Tennessee. Like there's a bunch of women who were just like, I'm home. I got nothing to do. I hate this. I'm joining Indivisible. And they are doing the work. They are
That was
showing
pretty
up.
good. You've
And
been
so
there.
I've been here.
That was
I've been
your-
here 6 years, you know.
That's pretty
I've been here
good.
6 years. I do my Knoxville one too.
Yeah.
But
There's different dialects. Okay, Jim, Tom, what do you think? Is how long do you think that the American people are going to allow this to go on before democracy is gone? And do we have a way to stop it? Because that's one of the things too that scares me. Because we are going to have this No King's March, and it's going to be huge. And again, that's what he wants because then he can declare more. If it gets big enough or gets violent, he can claim a martial law and cancel the midterms.
I think the difference right now is we do have video, we do have everybody's got a camera, so I think that it's a lot harder, like 10 years ago, the Alex Preddy thing would not have been shot. I mean, would not have been, videoed. And I think that's where like the old playbook isn't working as well as it used to. You used to be able to say have a reporter for your newspaper down there and saying, the Irish came in and they began battling the police. The police were, they were able to control the narrative. Now we actually have pretty good proof. AI will mess that up, but you know, we still have those systems that can vet it. And I do think the only real on, we're not a violent group, the left have never been, except back in 68, and that wasn't so much fighting as much as it was fighting back.
Mhm.
And I think that I think it has to come down to the midterms. And I think that at the end of the day, um, decency will be something that I think the Democrats should be running on. Let's restore decency. There is so much indecency with Pete Hegseth
Yeah.
and just and not that we don't have our fair share. We've got to expel
course.
those too.
Of course.
It's really important how when you find out like bad people can do good things, good people can do bad things,
Mhm.
and we have to be I think that we're not going to win over the people who love and respect Donald Trump. Um, so don't even try. I think demonizing him, on a never-ending thing. It's like at one point I'm saying like, yeah, let's stop him at the midterms. That's the first place we can stop him. And what we are is, as a group, is like we know how to do things within the law. And I've always said it's the middle management people that keep businesses rolling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I got a problem with that in the law thing. I've created effective change by peacefully violating the law back home. And sometimes you need to step outside the box. It doesn't mean you need to be violent,
Yeah,
but
okay.
sometimes you need to chain yourself to the
Right.
And
redundancy.
actually, that's true because if you look at
Absolutely not,
if
non-violent, but it's I'm certainly not saying, don't do things, within the law, but I do think that we will win in the courtroom, m most of the times because the other side just has absolutely no idea what due process is.
Well,
It
we've been
seems.
winning in the courtroom, but
Yeah.
they're just not
they
honoring.
disregard it, they
Yeah.
don't care.
They,
But
they
the
don't care.
but the, yeah, the courtroom has no way to enforce their
Exactly.
findings. Their
Exactly.
whatever they put out there, there's no way to enforce it. Yeah, I want you to bring back this guy from El Salvador. Okay, make us. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Send your court army or your court police to get us? The only way it works is if we actually abide by the law. And to me, the biggest problem I see with the Democratic Party is you still have people like Chuck Schumer and Jeffries in charge, and they're still playing by the playbook of 30, 40 years ago. I mean, we need to not just stop the Trump administration financially, but we need to plug all the norms. Remember norms? We always
Yeah.
thought those were
No
law.
law,
And we
yeah, right,
find
they
out,
were
oh,
laws.
that's
Well,
just what you're supposed to do.
but the other
Be
side of
nice.
that argument, an argument, or that way of doing things, is you know, why would you be trying to give him the opportunity to declare martial law? And that's
I'm
where
not talking about violence by any stretch of the imagination.
yeah,
I'm talking about actual creating laws that make sense for everybody. The two things that Democrats need to do is plug the holes. Now, and again, by laws. The other thing they need to do is give the middle class something to go. We like the Democrats. This is what we did with FDR. This is
yeah,
why that's why the Democrats controlled
yeah.
all forms of government for so long, because we gave people a better life. And
Yeah.
right now, what we're doing is we're just going in there and we're doing little things that maybe will go into effect 5, 6 years down the road, and people forget shit. 5, 6 years ago, what happened? People forget what Trump did in January 6th, for God's sakes.
Mhm.
Don't
And
forget what he did last week.
Yeah.
they got to hit the ground running, and they cannot go in there and figure it out while they're there.
Keep this
Can't
in
rely
mind.
on the politicians
Keep-
anymore.
keep-
The
keep
politicians aren't going to do anything, you guys. The people have to do it. And the thing that these people understand is money, which means that Galloway had tried to organize one. It wasn't that successful. We need a long-term, sustained national boycott and strike, like the Alabama bus boycotts,
Mhm.
similar to that, but we're boycotting Amazon. We're boycotting all of these businesses that are enabling them. AT&T. We need to not watch anything that is owned by Oracle. We need to shut it down. We need to hit them in their pocketbook. We need to devastate them. A perfect example was Jimmy Kimmel. They tried to cancel him. Everybody canceled their
Cancel Disney Plus.
And
Everybody
was back
canceled Disney
And they
Plus.
haven't recovered yet.
They
36 hours.
So let me
You
just
know?
to jump off what you were saying about the Alabama bus boycott, and you guys talking about about doing things illegally.
Wait a second.
Keep it. Wait, hang on. Hang on, hang on.
This is important. I got to cancel my trash bags from Amazon right now.
No more subscribe and save, folks.
Keep in mind, just about everything Martin Luther King did during the civil rights movement was illegal. From a marching without a permit, down the streets of Birmingham, to closing down Walmart, Woolworths, by having African Americans sit at the counter. That pretty much everything done, it was all nonviolent, but everything
Yeah.
what Rosa Parks did was illegal. That's why she was arrested. Everything they did, they were unjust laws, but
Yeah.
everything they did was against the law, and it was nonviolent.
when it's people who think that your mere existence is illegal, which is what's going on right now with ICE, it doesn't matter if you come in legally.
Yeah.
You're not them,
Yeah.
right? So your existence is illegal in their minds.
Well,
So you may as well do something, right? Oh, and by the way, I can get a gun right away as long as I pass the background check. No permit needed, nothing. I can go down with my ID, do a background check, and walk out with a gun.
Okay,
Here in
just hey,
Tennessee.
let's do it and time it. Well, let's do it as a video and time
And it's
it.
not
I'm
going to
really
take that
curious.
long. I have passed background checks so quickly. I've had jobs where they're like, that is the fastest return on a background check we've ever gotten. I'm like, I am not trying to do anything too crazy because, you know,
Okay, so
I'm going to be very old when I die.
here's what the challenge here's what the challenge is that I want you to do. What the challenge is, I want you to get the cheapest gun there is, the cheapest handgun
I
there
don't even
is.
know how to use
As
it.
I'm not saying you have to use it. I just want to see about the access. The cheapest gun you can as fast as you can. That's what I'm curious about, to see how fast could you get like a Saturday night special, $150 Saturday night special or something. How
Should I get
fast
the
in the
Trump
state of
gun?
Tennessee?
I'm gonna get the Trump gun in pink. You know, there's a Trump gun.
No, is there really?
Yeah, you can buy a Trump gun.
what does it do? Shoot itself in the foot?
I think
Very good.
I like that. Yeah, I think though that that power to the people, I think people have forgotten about that. And
Yes.
Right.
it
I
needs to be
agree.
reminded.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you say, and yeah, I think nonviolent, protest will be a thing. I would when I say within the legal things, like the things I worry about the most is them getting something like the Saved Act, through, which doesn't look like it's going to go through, because it's very easy to say to people, voter ID, you think you should have it? And I think a lot of people like who don't follow politics and don't understand what that really means are going to say, "Oh yeah, no, that seems reasonable," And if there was a reasonable way for someone, go, I got a driver's license and a social security
It's
number, I'm a
pass.
citizen.
Gotta be a
But
passport
they've made it
or a birth
so
certificate.
hard. They've made it so hard for people. I mean, and at one point, people's apathy level in this country, they don't care. And it's not that they're not. That doesn't make them bad.
That's
It's
actually,
just,
actually
I
that's
don't
not
know
accurate,
any.
Jim. Jim, it's not accurate. They don't care until it affects them. I keep seeing story
Yeah,
after story after story
Yeah.
after story of Trumper who voted for him 3 times, and then
Affecting them.
something
It's affecting
happens
them
that
now.
affects them directly, and then all of a sudden that now they care, now they regret it. So I'm not gonna say American people don't care. They do. Yeah.
No, but okay, yeah, but what I'm saying is, I meant there's half the people in this country don't follow politics at
Yeah.
all. They just, like they don't care. It's like, hey, I've noticed gas went up a buck a gallon, and
Did anybody see the movie Civil War?
Yes, it was really good. It wasn't
The
enough for
Charlene
me, but it was
movie?
good.
But there was what Jim was saying was interesting because there was two sides fighting in the Civil War, and then there was a third of the country that was not having any part of either side. They were just kind of
yeah.
checked out. They were kind of living their life, pretending nothing was going on, and that's pretty much what we've had for God knows how long. Maybe for the entire history of the country, we just have like a third of the country that doesn't care. They just want to eat their Rice Krispies in the morning and watch some TV at the end of the night and go to sleep.
Yeah,
So,
You know,
what's wrong with that?
I was talking to my cousin in Ethiopia. I was talking to my cousin in Ethiopia during the Civil War, which ended about a year and a half ago. And it was a bad civil war. Like over 1 million Ethiopians died. And I asked her, like, how does it feel? Like, are you scared? She's in the capital. She's in Addis. And I was like, there's curfews. If you're out at night, you're subject to search by the military. The military's out with guns all the time. And she said, you get used to it.
Yeah,
And that terrified me.
yeah.
I never want to get used to something like that. That
I,
was so frightening to me.
Well, see,
I,
that's the problem that we've got in
I
America, is that there's so much wrong that we've allowed to be normalized.
Well, but that's the problem with human nature in general. I mean, look at what's been happening in China, Russia, all these governments that are oppressing people. They get used to it. They're not fighting back. They have these little groups that protest. They get snuffed out literally sometimes. And then everybody goes back about their business because they don't know anything better. That's the problem we have with young people today with voting. They don't know what they don't know anything about Reagan. They don't know how this whole ball towards authoritarianism started by Reagan opening up the floodgates of for the wealthy to accumulate more wealth and more power. They don't understand any of this. We stopped really teaching school and history anymore. So, we have these people that don't understand the Civil War. They don't understand civil rights. They don't understand any of it. All they know is what they see on TikTok or what they hear from somebody, that they follow. And most of the time their information is shit.
Now, but in fairness, when we talk about young people this and young people that, I want you to go back to in your head to being 21 or 22. And if somebody said to you that the government wants you to carry a tracking device with you 24 hours a day, everywhere it is that you go, so that they want to find you, they can find you and know where you are, you would have, as my grandmama used to say, you would have shit on your hocks. Is how grandma used to.
Yeah, but the point.
Well,
Brian,
hang on 1 second. Let me finish. And yet now we voluntarily walk around with a tracking device where we can be tracked every time we go. Anywhere we go, and we have no problem. My kids when I mention this to my kids, they have no problem with it at all. When I mention to my kids about I remember when the first street cameras went up in England. It was like in the 90s. When the first street camera went up was where they were able to take shots of cars and start with photo tickets and all that stuff. I remember on talk radio, people were going ballistic. That better not happen here. We have freedom. We have the right to not be under surveillance. Now they're everywhere. Nobody says a word. We don't care about privacy whatsoever. So it's more than just history. It's that it's incrementalism. It's that things will start small and start to spread, and then it becomes normalized.
That's what I was about to say, was that this isn't something that a faucet got turned on. This has been a drip, drip, drip that's accumulated into a full tub. People get used to it. A generation comes into awareness about politics, but they don't know what came before it. That's the thing about getting older and wiser, as Jim was talking about earlier. We have history, we have life that we can look at, and as you can say, as you just said,
also lived history,
this whole thing started.
Lived history, which is the only kind, like I remember the Watergate hearings very vividly. I remember the Vietnam War very vividly. I remember there was a guy, we were talking about the government. There was somebody who you had to, from the government to approve footage of the Vietnam War. But what ended the Vietnam War was the footage of those young men in battle. And the footage.
When Cronkite went over there is when Johnson said, "If I've lost Cronkite, I have lost the war." But there's nobody we trust like that now either.
Yeah. But I mean, but it was still the images
and it was images that's what ended the civil.
They didn't have images of young men dying, being shown in movie theaters during World War II. There were battles, there were area battles, but for a few years, because the news division had complete autonomy over what they put out. They were separate from
plus,
network. The network was like, we are not going to.
There was a wall.
Yeah.
Until the late 60s, where everybody that died in a war movie died like this. Oh! Yeah. What?
Yeah, no.
I was doing auditions too for people watching the show.
But what you're saying,
got her new gun and shot you.
She had enough time. She could have just run out. Yeah, that fast. Before we run out of time, let's make sure that I'm going to get to your question, Tom. And this one is just really disturbing. All of my life, Cesar Chavez has been considered a hero And there it was a major investigative report done by the New York Times that was released today that after 60 interviews, they have come to the, do I say come to the conclusion that Cesar Chavez groomed and sexually abused young girls in his movement. Girls as young as 12 or 13. He groomed these girls. He was considered, a god, by these people. We looked up to him. They looked up to him. And so, as a result of this, the United Farm Workers say that they're not going to take part in any Cesar Chavez Day celebrations or activities. And so, I guess the question is quite simply, I mean, he's not alive to defend himself. That's the first thing. But there's just so much there. There's so much there to say that this is not, that this didn't happen. Um, do you think he should be canceled? I've never heard of anybody. Well, I guess Christopher Columbus got canceled. I mean, should
Yeah.
they? Every major city's got a Cesar Chavez Boulevard. Should they scrub the name?
I really hate the word canceled. First of all, nobody really gets totally canceled. People still talk about Harvey Weinstein, and
I just realized. I wonder how much he gets that.
yeah,
I wonder how much he gets that.
and so I don't think the word cancel really quite covers it. We find out about stuff, we learn things, we change our perception on people. We should do whatever people feel they need to do. If you're uncomfortable with celebrating,
a pedophile. If the man was a
pedophile,
according to
yeah,
this, the man was a pedophile. The bottom line is,
right. And
so
we should recognize that and move forward accordingly. If that means stop. So of course we should stop celebrating somebody who is a pedophile. That's like, that's a no-brainer. But I also think that we need to understand everybody as a whole. A lot of people we thought were good are terrible. And I don't think, for instance, going back to Christopher Columbus, we know who Christopher Columbus is. We're constantly reminded how terrible he was. But we also know part of what we were taught in school with, Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
1492.
And, so all that stuff is, everything was pared down to this is what we're going to learn in class for the next half hour of the entire year. So more information is always good, and finding out about and finding out about atrocities is always a learning experience and always good. And yes, the correct actions will happen. People will stop. People will still recognize what happened, but they will stop celebrating this person.
Okay, here's another challenge. Okay, every major city, every major metropolitan city in America has a Cesar Chavez Boulevard.
Not here.
Really? True. Let me rephrase that. Not in the South. Yeah, you're not going to find Birmingham's Cesar Chavez neighborhood. But here's my challenge.
And a chance of finding a drag show.
I'll put in $5. Let's all put in $5, and we're going to do a pool as to how long it is, because San Francisco is very reactive. How long it is before San Francisco changes the name of Cesar Chavez Boulevard in the Mission District?
I got 100 for an hour ago.
$5. Are you guys in? Everybody's in $5. And
of course you're going to do it because
no, of course, yeah. But I'm just saying how fast.
But the evidence is so compelling, about this. It's so heartbreaking on so many levels that it's like even worse than Cosby. Not even, I don't want to say there's a subjective way, but as bad as it's like that. It's like finding out about that. And of course, you can't have his name anywhere and you can't remember it anywhere because every woman who has been sexually abused will go, well, there's another sexual abuser that people still think is worth naming a street after or a holiday for.
Or a building.
we're building for. And,
Or
that's why,
continuing to be president of the United States.
I stopped eating salad because of this.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, but hopefully they'll change, Chavez the holiday in California to the UFW Labor Day, and
Oh, there you go.
not throw, like what you don't want is you don't want to separate what the man did, but I think it's kind of what I was saying earlier on, because this was at forefront in my head of, it's just when people become so, you know, enamored by their success, I think some of them feel that they can just get away with it, And Gandhi, we found out some terrible things about Gandhi.
Well, they're all
And
imperfect. I mean, Martin Luther King was
there
a
are
major
some perfect, there are
was a
some
major was a
morally,
major woman.
you're never going to find anything on Gerald Ford.
Hang on
you
one second.
know?
He was a Martin Luther King was a major womanizer. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no question about it. And the FBI had recordings of him with women that they sent to Coretta, in order to
Yeah, but
sow
that's
discord between.
consensual adults doing something that, they were
Well,
consensual
of course,
adults.
I know it's not
I mean,
an affair is not that. I'm not equating an affair to
yeah,
pedophilia.
yeah.
The
You
point I'm
get to
trying to
keep your
make.
street. That's what
The,
I
the
say.
point I'm trying
Well,
to
I
make.
mean, in Austin, there's a Cesar Chavez Street, and they're already pushing to rename it. So
Wow.
Austin is ahead of the game, and San
Yeah.
Francisco needs to catch up.
Oh, San Francisco. I'm saying let's do a pool.
Bakersfield.
My pool is a month. I say a month. I got a month. What do you, Tom? What do you got?
I got 2 weeks.
You got 2
Yeah.
weeks? I'm writing this down to see who's right. Okay, you
Man,
got 2 weeks. I
y'all
got
are
a month.
my answers. Okay, I'm gonna give it. Oof.
Before
Go with
San
13
Francisco.
days. Do the Price is Right one, 13 days.
Birthday is March 31st. The event is on the 31st of March. So I'm gonna give it a week and a half. Week and a half.
There are probably legislative things or bureaucratic crap that would have to go through to change the name, so it may take longer than that. But I'm sure that there's a committee. I'm sure there's a committee already that's formed.
How much does a can of paint cost, Brian?
When politicians really want to do something, they can get it done quick.
Oh yeah, really quick.
What about Dodger? What about Dodger Stadium? Isn't that in the Chavez Ravine?
That's right. It was Chavez Ravine.
It was the Chavez Ravine.
And they took the land from people through eminent domain.
Oh, awful! Also, there's so many horrible stories about LA. You should get into that one.
Well, it's not just an LA story. I mean, my new Topher Davis novel is a historical novel about a place called Russell City here in the Bay Area, which is the only place in the East Bay they would allow African Americans and Latinos to live because of redlining, and it was blighted because they declared it blighted because it had no running water, no paved streets, and they gave the people no infrastructure, and then they took their property from them through eminent domain and sold it for $40 million to white developers. And this went on all over the place. Chavez Ravine was a place. There was a Mill Valley near Chicago. They're all across the country. They would do this. They would go to the African American communities that they made shitty by not giving them the funds that needed to make them, habitable. So, but I think it's pretty quick. It'll happen pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, how long did it take them to change Hitler Boulevard?
Oh,
I did a thing. I did I was talking about this the other day. I did a TEDx talk.
Even drive on that street.
A couple of years ago. I did a TEDx talk, and the guy who came on behind me, who followed me, was doing a talk on how we shouldn't judge people by appearance or by name or whatnot. And the guy's name was Hitler. His last name was Hitler with 2 T's. But it was still, Hitler and what life was like having to go through, Hitler party of 3, your table is ready. And having to go through life with that. And how people just automatically jump to conclusions. I'm sorry, I would change it. I mean,
I think that's probably what people are jumping to the conclusion of. Why didn't you change your name? That would be my first thought,
Isn't there a Yankees pitcher whose name is like Schiffler or something like that? Or it sounds like Schittler, but it's not quite. It's almost like you almost cannot say Schittler. But it's
Yeah.
yeah, that guy I would have changed my name a long, long time ago.
Well, there are a lot of people, Tim Allen's name is Timothy Dick, and he changed it for obvious reasons,
Yeah, but
whereas
he
Andy
kept
Dick didn't.
a little dick energy though, didn't he?
Hey.
Um,
Mhm. Well, the guy's richer than
Hey,
anything.
some
and
of
I'm
us
not
are still
talking
looking
about
for
big dick
work.
energy.
Yeah. He's
That
another one of these rich right wingers who is complaining about how he's discriminated against in Hollywood. He's got a series now. He has not been without a series and or a
That
movie
that
for
that
40
is that
fucking
is weird
years.
when
And
people who are extremely successful complain about getting canceled.
yes, I mean, it's
As you know,
completely,
on like I can't, but with the comics who are just like making still 100 million a year, going, and I
I've been
was
canceled.
canceled. You know who was canceled? Kathy Griffin was canceled.
yeah, Kathy
Yeah,
It's
Griffin
always
was
the women
canceled.
who get it.
And
The
yeah,
she's
women are
just coming
always the
back.
first ones out. You know what I mean?
She's just
yeah.
now
I've
coming
given to
back.
the Will Smith GoFundMe after the Chris Rock thing.
Yeah.
Gave to that
Well,
Mm.
because
well, I mean,
what is he?
that
How's he paying the
what was that?
bills?
What was that movie that Will Smith made right before that on Amazon? It was brutal. Emancipation, I think it was called. It was about
Was
a
it a slavery movie?
slave who I think that picture of that awful picture of him with all the
yeah.
lashes on the back of his of the back. But it was
I
that
didn't see
story.
it.
It was on because it came out. It was going to be his next big Oscar push. It's
Mm.
one of the most brutal films I've ever seen. And it's not AI. He is running through the swamps of Louisiana. He is escaping,
Running
and
from the slave
and
catchers the whole
from
time.
it's one of the most brutal films I ever saw. And and just my theory is I think he was so traumatized because he only wrapped that movie like a week or two before the Oscars. And I think he was I really I look at that movie. Not a lot of people saw it because it was after the thing, and
Well, he lost me. I mean, I
well,
was a
I
big
mean,
fan, but he's
what
lost
he
me.
did
He lost me.
was so out of character for what this guy has who he has projected to the world. It was just so
It
out,
wasn't out of character necessarily, Jim, because you don't know him personally. It was off brand, is what it is, and there's a difference.
usually
Allegations of his
you
character are pretty,
I
yeah.
don't think that's something to do on
I'm
a
not
whim.
defending him, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I get
Yes,
it.
you are, man.
well, yeah, I am. Well, no, but I mean, I'm trying to make sense of it because you know he wasn't maybe he had that temper off stage, away from the cameras, but he certainly never made any sort of mistake in front of the cameras
No,
that I knew of.
no.
It was
Very guarded, very
yeah,
regulating himself.
he really,
Hmm.
and then I saw this movie and I was like, I think he was traumatized by that by making that movie because I can't think of and he is sort of a method actor. He does have that reputation, and he does throw himself
In every
into
role.
into
Okay.
role and I don't
Well, let me ask you this: did any of the other slaves in that movie slap anybody?
yeah,
We'll
Slappy
never
White
know,
was
Brian.
Be white. Let's go back to remember I told you something you were talking about earlier when you were talking about Trump and the fact that when you're when you finally make it and you're surrounded by people who are whispering in your ear that you're great all the time and you get to the point where you believe it and the ego gets out of control. I watched the Oscars on Sunday and one of the things that I just really loved was Michael B. Jordan's speech and Ryan Coogler's. I interviewed Ryan Coogler on radio right between Fruitvale Station, which was his first movie that he did on a shoestring, and Creed. And Creed is what really broke him was that, and he was promoting Creed. Nice kid. He's from Oakland. He was playing football at St. Mary's on a scholarship. Half like a sophomore year, the football program went away, and one of his teachers suggested he try screenwriting, and he got into Sundance with that Fruitvale Station idea, and the rest is history. Well,
well,
he's just as humble as he ever was. He's with his high school girlfriend still. That's his lady. And Michael B. Jordan was the same way, just a nice guy, humble, and get the feeling that he's the same guy that he always was. So here is my question for you, because we've all known them, especially being in show business as long as we all have. And I'm trying to, I'll leave it up to you. Who's somebody you know who you knew before, who was a good guy or a good woman, or just a normal, regular person who was cool, who you hung out with, and then they made it, and all of a sudden it was like, you're such an effing asshole. What happened to you? And it's, what Michael J. Fox called living in the land of yes. He said after Back to the Future, he lived in the land of yes. Nobody would tell him no about anything. So we all know people. We all know people who we came up with and who were great, and then all of a sudden they have their 15 minutes, and during that period of time they change. There's a handful I know who haven't, changed. Carvey is still Carvey. There are a handful of people I know who have said, but then there are a handful I know who, and I know one in particular, and I'm not going to mention names, but I see, Tom, you booked so many people. I know you know several. I know you know all kinds.
Actually, I would have to say that most of the people that I have met in my life that have really turned, there's only I wouldn't say anybody that I've known has changed enough for me to go, oh, I never saw that coming. There are people
yes,
that
there is. I can name one because you've talked about him on this podcast a number of times.
Who was that?
You want me to say the name?
Yeah.
Rogan.
Oh, Rogan. Yeah. But see, I don't know Rogan anymore. I don't know everything that led up to him going to where he is right now. And I don't know him enough anymore that if I saw him tomorrow, that he would be like, he would completely ignore me. I don't know all the details about it. So he could still be a great person or wonderful to be around if I ran into him out here, or if I was visiting Austin and ran into him out there. Politically, yeah, the guy's done a 180, completely flip-flopped on who I thought he was. But then I thought, like, the first time I met Russell Brand, I thought he was the nicest guy, one of the nicest people I've ever met. And
did you book him? Did he work Cops?
Yeah.
How'd he do?
Yeah, he was great. I one of those people, I instantly hit it off with him. We had a great conversation. I bragged for years of him playing the club, and the same thing with, on the other side, where somebody's just a wonderful person and you keep believing they're a wonderful person, like John Oliver. I hit it off with John Oliver. He could only play like 4 clubs a year because of the Daily Show, and then eventually getting the HBO thing. But Cobb's was always his destination. It was always just a matter of finding a date for him. But he'd always tell his agent, I need to play Cobb's. So, John was a guy I could sit down and talk an hour with nonstop, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. But it goes back to the point. I was never really, really friends with Joe Rogan. We liked each other. We had a good time when he was in town, but it wasn't like he invited me
to his wedding
or anything like that.
People you know. I'm not talking about necessarily bosom buddies, but people who you know.
I've never had anybody who I've known who's turned. I don't even say Joe.
Really?
I don't know Joe enough to say he's turned. I would say politically he's turned, but I don't know about him as a person. I think, I tried to reach out to him, and to no avail, because I wanted to know. I was curious if he had changed as a person. But everybody, people.
And he didn't return your call, so that answers your question.
Well, I didn't really have his number. He changed his number, and I don't know how I knew his manager. I called his manager, but so I emailed his club. That was the last time I tried to reach out. Was I emailed his club and saying I wanted to reach out and catch up and stuff. But everybody moves on. Everybody, we go into different categories. Our life changes. We have new people come in. I'm not.
That's true. I mean, how many
Yeah,
friends from high school do you still have? I mean, so if you're
yeah.
looking at it like
I mean,
that.
people that were my really good friends, are still my really good friends, and people, who I had that kind of relationship with are still good friends. Some aren't. I just, I saw Kevin Pollak on the Oscars, with the tribute
To Rob.
to Rob,
Mm-hmm.
and I texted him. Right away, and he got back to me within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Yeah,
at the Oscars.
Kevin's still Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin's
and
a
actually,
guy.
Kevin's funny because everybody had money that Kevin was going to be. If Kevin ever became famous, he would be an unbearable prick. Everybody thought because Kevin wanted to be famous more than anything, and the opposite happened. And he actually became even nicer.
Nicer.
When he became famous. And I can't say that for a lot of people that I know, but a lot of people I know, I wasn't surprised when they kind of just shut me out, or people move on, and people, and that's how it works. I'm not disappointed with it. That's who it is. I've moved on from people.
That is.
That's how life
Well, that
is.
happens, but that's not the same as what I mean. I mean, you've seen people with I mean, I'm sure you've seen people with egos blow up. As I said, from living in the land of
Most
Well,
people,
Jim.
yeah, I'm sure Jim's got
But
a couple
I was
names.
gonna say, I'm sure Jim's got stories. I'm sure.
Betty White, the worst. Absolutely. Insane egomaniac.
We'll fight you, Jim.
Just
I will.
This is
you don't wanna
well,
know.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say I knew her, but I can tell you, I spent 2 separate mornings on live television where they're all morning long, and
She fakes it for the camera.
She could cuss like a sailor. Oh, she's telling me stories
She was
off
great.
camera, and
No,
I loved
no,
her. I just wanted to hug her, and I
yeah,
cried like a baby when she died.
no. I mean, the
How
people
was B. Arthur?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
I mean,
always because I'm bald and everything. I just always had. I just always had that
they were
vibe.
they were all great. Yeah, and I was with them for like 4 years. And then a couple of extra years with Betty. I'd probably do like 200 episodes of TV with Betty, and that was a different time. Like the ego shit just didn't fly.
Yeah.
Those women got to the stage at like 9 o'clock on Monday, and it was hit your mark and bark. And we did 30 a year, and like now it's like they're doing 10 a year. They're like, oh geez, you're killing me. There were guys who were like great in the beginning and great in the end. Like, well, up until this morning, I would have put Cesar Chavez in that group. I'm kidding. This is a sucker's question. Of course, there's people who just become assholes, but my thing is like
You got to be a
early in the
politician
career,
and not name
and
names.
if they're opportunists, which most people who make it to the top are, they have an act that they portray to you. I'm a nice person, and then when they hit, they realize they don't need the act anymore. You know what I mean? And so they just
Mhm.
drop the act. So did they change? No. They were doing a fake version of themselves at the early part of their
Mm.
careers. You're a club owner, Tom. You've had
Yeah.
your ass kissed more than help me out here, Brian. Uh, so I mean, that's how that goes. But I think that whoever said that celebrity just heightens who you are. If you're a bad guy, you're going to be a bigger bad guy, and if you're a good guy, the Joe Rogan that you met, whatever Joe Rogan is now, and I think Joe Rogan he has an honest dialogue with himself. I don't think he's portraying anything different than what's going on in his head.
He
And
doesn't believe
now,
he's the villain of his story for sure.
yeah. So I mean, and now
The
I'm glad.
villains never do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you think Hitler thought he was a bad guy?
No.
You think Hitler looked in the mirror and said,
I
"You're
think Trump,
terrible, human
the
being"?
weird thing about Trump is I think he doesn't care. I think he just wants to be talked about. He doesn't care whether people think he doesn't really care.
He's got like everyone in America thinks that America, the reason we got here is because of the people. We got here because we have the best piece of real estate on the planet. We got an ocean on the west. We got an ocean on the east. Nobody can get to us. We got a big Gulf on the south. Nobody can get to us. We got a big goddamn river that goes right down the middle, the old Mississippi, which makes, and a whole bunch of other rivers going off of that. So it was an easy way to get food and grain. And we have a big port in, in New Orleans coming. We were just, we were economically so far ahead of everybody. You go to Europe, it's like there's no river longer than, 100 miles. They don't have a 800,000-mile river, and that's why we're an
And the
economic
Europeans
superpower.
didn't
It has
have
nothing to
didn't
do with the
discover a
people.
place with people that were already. I mean, here it's like they talk about how America was discovered, but there were already people here who
Yeah,
were
yeah,
benefiting from that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. We took, we were, whatever not whose ever ancestors, the people who came to this country first, were brutal. And that's how the world was, brutal. But that's why America became a superpower, not because of the difference of the American people. The American people are basically, 80% of them are, who we're told to be,
So
you
you don't
know?
believe in American exceptionalism
No, no.
I
or
used to
manifest
believe
or
kind of.
manifest destiny? I'm
I,
sorry,
I
Sean.
used to believe
I think,
Well, hang on,
I,
hang on a second. Yeah, let's give Yanni a chance to talk. I'm sorry, you were
I
saying?
used to believe that we were an exceptional country, even though I was raised with no like deception about racism in America. My parents were very like, this is the way it is in this country. And my dad was from Ethiopia, which is like a country that's never been colonized, has always been, eh, is a sovereign area, but like they were still just like, we're educating you. You're reading about Assata Shakur. You're reading about all these things. You're going to learn about what happens to Black people in America and our real history. And I still believed in American exceptionalism up until about, I'd say 15 years ago. No, 20 years ago. And then I was like, oh, this is all some BS. Like we conform more than any other. Like when I see the French protest, I am so jealous. Like I'm so jealous. Like why can't we do that? When French farmers dump a whole bunch of manure in front of like the Capitol to protest a policy change, I am so jealous. We are the most conforming, like authoritarian, accepting, follow the rules, honor the law enforcement people on the planet. Not because we're scared, but because we think that's what it means to be American.
Wait, so what are you saying? Are you saying to be violent then? I mean, I understand what
No,
it is that you're saying.
I'm saying you can. I mean, I don't think there's violence in putting manure in front of the Capitol when
No, no.
Well, we shut down to authoritarianism really easily. I mean, we could have knocked out McCarthyism, excuse my accent, McCarthyism. Hollywood could have shut that whole thing down, but it didn't do that. And we conform to it. We try to work with it. We try to work around it, but we don't shut it down. And I think that's what Yanni's saying.
Yeah, like this whole like no man is above the law. Well, in theory, yeah, but like in practice, a lot of people are above the law. In this country, and there is no fairness, and there is a red line, and there is oppression, and there is systemic racism. These things are real, and when you bring it up, all the people in power who need people to believe in American exceptionalism clutch their pearls and become the victims instead of being honest about this and working through it so we can be a better nation for everybody. It's about power. And we're at a really vulnerable time right now, I feel like. Even if something were to happen to Mango Mussolini tomorrow, JD Vance is a bigger threat than he is. And
because he's an
his
empty vessel.
oligarchs will tear it.
He's an empty vessel.
Exactly. He's an empty vessel funded by the
tell them whatever they want.
And they don't believe in democracy.
He doesn't have the charisma though. That you still need you still need that the key thing, which is the charisma, and nobody's a big fan of JD.
He looks like a toady, and he looks and acts like a toady.
Yeah, just like Marco Rubio. I guess Marco Rubio is
the
just
financial power of his patrons, of the oligarchs. If we do a nationwide boycott and strike, sustained, not for 2 days. Look at what happened to Target. Target is suffering. I have not been shopping at Target since the boycott.
No, I haven't gone back to.
And that has been hard because that was my happy place. But look at how it's devastated Target. And then
Yeah.
they were like,
we
okay,
were talking
we're
about
gonna
Disney
change
Plus.
it. Sorry.
When we were talking about Disney as well, Disney,
Well,
I just saw an ad yesterday. I think it was on the Oscars where they were saying, "Hey, sign up for Disney Plus and Hulu for only $4.99 a month now." And it was, I mean, they're desperate. $4.99 a month. I mean, they still haven't recovered from the Jimmy Kimmel thing. So,
That's why they
and
signed him for another 2 years. They
yeah.
got a new 2-year contract out of it, So,
yeah,
well, with that, we are out of time. Anything anybody wants to mention? Anything anyone wants to mention? What's the plug? Nothing.
Now call your
Absolutely nothing.
representatives every day. Call them every single day and tell them this is unacceptable. Unless you like it, then call them and tell them that you're doing a good job and we're probably not going to be friends. But besides that, every day, every day. I call Matt Van Epps, Marsha Blackburn, and Bill Haggerty every day. I know they don't care, but I am going to be that thorn in their side
Good.
every day.
And when you meet them in person, they'll know who you are.
Well,
people I
yeah,
agree
not.
with.
I'll probably
not.
scream at Marsha. Oh no, I will let them know exactly how I feel.
I would hope that the Republicans the Democrats who are running for governor, get it together and pick one or two, because there's a very good chance that we might have, because of the way they have the runoffs here, it's the top two that run against each other, and right now the top two polling are Republicans, because we have 8
Love
Democrats.
Swalwell.
Pardon me?
I thought Swalwell was doing really well as well.
He came in third
Oh,
in the latest polling. He's got like 13%, because there's Katie Porter. She's pulling in 8 or 9%, and then there's like 6 more candidates who are pulling 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. So there's a chance that we might have 2 Republicans after the primaries. So they should get their stuff together.
yeah.
We don't need a Republican. And the way gas prices are and Orange County might just say, we really want to, put our guy in,
How much is
Menlo
gas
Park,
in California right
Menlo
now?
Park, Menlo
I,
Park,
I,
California.
I've
You
seen,
got you got gas. You got gas in Menlo Park, California. That's $7.29 a gallon.
I've seen it at 8
Yeah.
over by the airport.
You
Yeah.
seen it at 8?
Yeah.
Where?
It'll be
Where?
10. It'll be 10, by the end of the year.
Well,
This
here
isn't
people
going
are
nowhere.
melting down because it's almost $4 a gallon for regular. And then I'm fancy and I have a BMW, so I pay almost $5 a gallon.
I remember during the gas shortage in the late 70s, and there seemed to be a big thing of like carpooling and people
Yeah.
and I just think that when we're talking about American exceptionalism in the late 70s, it was like, okay, we have to carpool, and my father worked in 10 miles away, and someone came up for about 3 or 4 months. We would have the car one day. I think that sort of American exceptionalism is gone. I think we have been, me included. It's like when you say boycott Amazon, I'm like, yeah, but it's like 98 degrees out.
We were pussified.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but
All right. Well, with that, Jim, I got to run. So, well, let's let people know that if they need a ride, they can gather 3 friends and
I'm here.
and what do you drive? What do you drive that they can pile into?
Me?
What do you drive? She's got a Beamer, so she can sit 4. You seat 4 in your Beamer. What can you
I can
seat?
seat 5. I got an X3. I can seat 5.
She can seat 5. What do you got?
I have a Fiat 500, so I can go 90 miles on a charge, and I can carry a person.
There used to be back. I don't know if they still have this or not. Back in the 90s, there was a place where you could go. It was by Lake Merritt in Oakland, I think, where people would come every morning. Professionals who worked in San Francisco would gather and carpool. They would some stranger would pull up and they'd hop in, and that way they could drive across the bridge for free. It was good for the whoever owned the car. They got to drive across the bridge for free. And
They
it
do
was
it in
good for
Vallejo now. I know
Do
they
they
still
do
have
that?
it in. Yeah.
People in 5 years, people are going to just be buying miles on Waymo, you know, out
Yeah.
here.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like I got 500
All
miles
right,
on
let's
Waymo.
actually let's end with this. I'm curious. Okay, Tom, when you first got your license, did you get your license at 16?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember how much gas was?
No. But I think I was definitely around $1 something, like low $1.20 something,
Okay, Yanni.
or before the yeah, because I got my license in 75. So it was before the big gas thing happened.
Before the crisis. Yanni.
I don't remember how much gas was. I never paid attention because my parents gave me a gas card, a Union 76 card.
Oh
And
God, you're so
that
sedity.
expired.
Really? Are you kidding me? Did they buy your car for you too?
No, I just used my aunt hated driving, and so as long as I took her kids to soccer practice, it was basically my car.
Okay.
So
I
Okay.
my
remember when
parents gave me a gas card.
I
I'm not
So
remember
you didn't have to worry
spoiled.
about
I am not. Maybe a little bit.
Jim, did you get your license at 16?
around then, yeah, and I remember, but I do remember for a long it was like 35 cents growing up, and then 50 cents was like, and then but it was the gas
The crisis of
embargo
the late
that
70s.
doubled it to $1, and that was like what well $10 will be for us. It was just shock, and then on top of it there was a gas shortage too. So on odd
That's right.
if you're not if
Odd
your
and even
license plate
days.
has an odd and even thing, and
Mhm.
and that's how we got through it. But I mean, I do think that you know gas is going to go up to $10 a gallon, and electric cars are going to become and people are just going to stop driving. And, this is
But I like driving. I'm tired of being of people trying to
but
force
you
me
know who
out of my
doesn't like
car.
driving?
I like to drive.
Kids don't like driving. I
No, they don't.
they don't like driving.
No, they
And
don't.
and it's and it's like good, and Waymos are safer, and they're only going to get more safer. They're a million
I
percent
say
safer.
I've told my kids that when the day comes, don't even try to take my keys away because there's going to be a fight.
Oh my
You
God,
know,
I would totally take the keys
when
away. I'd be like, here
Yeah,
you
you
set up
yeah.
know,
a Uber account for me.
No,
forget it. 'Cause I'm a car I'm
yeah.
a car guy. I'm a car guy, and I love cars, and I love driving, and I don't get the kids that don't want to
Yeah,
have
so does every
I
old
know so
89-year-old who plows into a farmer's market one day.
I
I
love
love
driving too, Brian,
driving.
but I'm too old to drive. I love driving. I love my car. I Before this whole gas price increase, I was going to get a bigger one. I love my car, but when I'm too old to drive and I'm a risk to somebody else, I will gladly give my keys away and just make the
Yeah.
child that I gave the car keys to drive me around.
But see, here's
It
the
won't be
problem.
that.
The
It's
problem
going to be
is that you don't
Waymo.
realize you're a risk. That's the problem with most of them. They
I'll
don't
I,
know they're a risk. I know a couple of my ex-wife's father, grandfather was driving at 100. I mean, he was a good driver. He got a big Jaguar, get a brand new Jaguar every year. He had him drive 100 years old. I got another friend whose mom drove until very recently. I think she's 101 now, and she was a drive. She drove fine. So, but those people who do things like drive through the farmers market, that guy had dementia. And so you don't know that you're a danger to somebody else. There was a story, all these stories came out when that farmers market story came out of the guy who drove up to the toll plaza with a body on the hood of his car when he drove up to the toll plaza to pay, and he'd hit somebody and the guy's body was on the hood of the car. So the toll driver says, "Hey, hang on just a second," and went and called. I think safety.
Are you sure he hadn't hunted the guy and just was bringing him home?
No, yes, because he would have been on the roof. It would have been in the hood of the
Right,
car.
right, of course.
Yeah.
If that way, he would have
Yeah.
been strapped across the roof like Mitt Romney's dog on a vacation. That's how it
Yeah.
would have been.
Wow.
It would have been. Tom, anything you want to mention?
No, sir, I'm good.
Nothing. You're good. A couple quick things. I am at the Mar. If you're in the Bay Area, I'm at the Mars in San Francisco on Thursday night with my depression show, The Waiting Period. I am doing the special project with my show, Not a Genuine Black Man, where I'm doing it at 10. A Bay Area high school and college communities, free to the public, free to the school. This is my pushback against the war on DEI and who gets to tell what stories. So I will be at James Logan High School at 2 o'clock on Sunday. That's in Union City, California. It is free to the school. It is free to the public. And also 2 days before No King's Day, I'll be back at the Marsh in San Francisco with my Trump show, The Great American Shit Show. So come on out, and it's monologues on life in the age of Trump. You can go to briancopeland.com for more information about that, as well as my books. My latest book is Shadows of Justice, and that is available anywhere books are sold. So with that, Jim Vallely, always good to see you. Guy, thanks for stepping in for us at the last minute. And Tom, we'll talk. I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna come out to wine country. We'll
Thank
talk.
you.
Okay.
We'll talk. If you like
All
the
right.
show, again, please make sure you like and you subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, leave us a 5-star review. It does help the show. We'll check you out next week. Again, I say this every week now because we don't know if we'll still be here next week, but hopefully we will. Till then, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.
Peace.
And we're out.
Awesome.
Bye, everybody. We got to let ourselves out.